in Las Vegas. We hope you enjoy this episode.
What up, Kev?
Dude, what's up?
Happy release day, man.
Thanks, man. I'm pretty pumped. I think it turned out pretty good.
You should be pumped. Want to know something cool?
What's cool?
I'm proud to report that for the first time since the pandemic, I feel like the algorithm for Spotify in 2024 and the revamping is starting to work correctly. I have 5 friends in markets outside of Las Vegas that have saved your album today because it reached them. We were just all surprised that the algorithm's actually doing what it's supposed to. We all know that fucking so many times we want to see our friends' stuff and support them, and we just get nonsense put into our feeds and our stories. So
right.
I just wanted to shout that out. Shout out Minister Julius. Shout out everybody in Kansas City for letting me know that today.
That's awesome. I'm so pumped to hear that it actually went through to them. That's crazy.
Yeah, I was going to tell them a little bit about the feel of the album and stuff. And they were like, all right, let's already listen to it, bro. I was like, copy that.
Oh man, I'm so flattered. Did they like it, or what were their thoughts on it?
Yeah, I understood it immediately. The feel of it.
Perfect. Oh, I'm so pumped to hear that. Yeah, I've been getting a lot of really kind words about it, and I'm really pumped.
It's a great project, Kev. Honestly, I don't think a lot of other people could have even made an album like that.
You're so kind. Oh man. Oh,
you put the work in.
Teary. What?
Put the work in, man. I'm not kind. You did the work. I didn't. I'm just here to let you know what you did in case you forgot.
Well, I appreciate it, man. I think it means a lot. It's interesting because remembering it, I feel like half of the time doing these podcasts, it's almost been like a memory lane. And remembering the first time we met, which was at the open mic, and you and Shikati showed up, and I was like, oh man, this guy's dope. And I was like, oh, I'm doing this project if you might be interested in it. And you're like, oh, I don't know. And then next time I saw you, you're like, I've listened to your stuff. I want to be on whatever you're doing. And I was like, oh, okay.
Yep. I'll stand on that.
It was so interesting. I'm pumped that the music was able to communicate with you to that level.
I'm the only guy on the planet that really has worked with Jay Dilla, So
right.
I know exactly what you're doing, and I think it's necessary for the culture, necessary for the genre, and necessary for music as everybody gets further away from original hip hop.
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting. And I feel like you're doing that too, especially with your latest song with Static Select. I feel like that's a huge. It's different for your sound, but I think it's very much going into that old school, slightly lo-fi type drums, hip hop sound, and it sounds really good with your vocals. Also sounded good on Coming Up, but it's cool to hear you exploring that place as well.
Thank you, man. It's it's the music I like. It's the music that makes me feel the best. And to your point, I hit a couple playlists today. One of the playlists was called it was called Breakfast Burritos. And they're songs that have a morning feel, but are also lyrical.
Oh, cool.
And the first 6 songs on there, well, the first song on there is Hello New World. The second 2 are off of Method Man's new album. The following 2 are off of our Inspected Deck hits. The whole thing is full of, to your point of you recognizing that, I hit a playlist today that was full of nothing but stars. And it was all people that just made iconic music. And when I see that stuff, it is a freaking honor. I don't care if I was on the bottom of that playlist. It's just weird to see my name next to everybody else's.
Yeah. Yeah. I can't imagine the feeling that might have. Being paired with these artists who have been heroes for you for so long.
Yeah.
It's crazy. It's sick though. I think you're deserving of it too, because I feel like you've been in the game for a while. I know you when we talk privately, you're very oh man, I don't know how any of this is happening. But I feel like you've been in the game for a while. You've really refined your skills. And I think I've told you this, that I think HG3 is the best project that you've put out so far. So
thanks, man.
I mean, it's deserved, I think.
Thank you, bro. I'm really, it's hard to, we talked about this the other day, if I was a conscious artist, right? And we agreed that I'm not. And
Right.
we say that because we know great conscious artists, and it's not that I don't have conscious songs or don't say things that are positive or meaningful. It's just, I would say that I'm more of a lyrical storyteller, probably. I use the language to try to, convey as many stories as possible, even on flows. I literally tried to take people outside into my streets and just let them see them. The sidewalk chalk, the jump ropes, the hula hoops, bro, we're different. We fucking still play marbles, bro. I swear to God, kids still use Jackson marbles in Detroit.
Right. Which is
beautiful
it's so cool. I do I really like what you did on that verse, and it was inspiring to me, and it made me think like, oh, I have to. And I feel like this has been consistent for a lot of the acts on the album, but I hear what they put on it, and I'm like, I gotta up my game. I'm like, this is so good, and that it's so visual, and there's so much awesome attention to lyrics and to performance, and I'm like, man, this just makes me want to get better. I'm like, these guys are so next level to me,
I felt like the whole project was next level. I felt like we all took our lyrical prowess and brought it to Kevin Basset dancing around on keys and creating a vibe that no one else can. Like, that album is you from the start to the end. Like, I know we're all there, but I'm just telling you, like, we all came to your house and we played ball in your court. And that's the best thing about the album is not only is it 11 tracks, over 35 minutes, it's all you. It just is. And I know that because I'm close to you, but I think people that have followed your music or listened to Jack's music and heard what you bring to the table, they would agree.
I'm so grateful for that. Yeah. I think that's cool. And I think I like the way you put it. I like that analogy of looking at it as playing ball at my house, because I feel like I have the court, but I'm privileged because I get like some goats of the scene, and I feel a little bit of imposter syndrome sometimes, just like being on the court with people like yourself, like Dak, just like all these great artists who are phenomenal ball players and like lyrical geniuses, just destroying, And I think it's so cool.
Everybody did well on the album. Faya Pone went crazy. Chicago went crazy. Snap Murphy did well.
Yeah. Yeah. It fits a lot of people well. And so earlier you're talking a bit about kind of the scene growing up in Detroit. I'd love to hear about like what was playing on the speakers when you were growing up. Like, what were the songs being played in your house when you were just a kid, not even in control of the speakers yet?
Fair, good question. So, I'm from Motor City. It's a black city, a lot of Motown greatness, a lot of Temptations, a lot of Stevie Wonder, a lot of Aretha Franklin, all these people that had iconic sounds from Detroit. This is what I heard, Kevin, coming from other people's apartments. Okay. We lived close together. We lived in low income housing. So our walls were paper thin, but I would hear records from the OGs all day, every day. The better the weather is, the louder the music was. And on beautiful summer days, it's nothing but Temptations on repeat, Sam Cooke records, all the Marvin Gaye records, all these albums that were just so powerful lyrically that, I think that for Detroit artists, even to today's music scene, I think it was all impacted by the great music that once was there. So that's what I was listening to in and around me. And I say that respectively because I did not have a dad. I had a mom who loved Journey and still to this day can't stand it.
Oh, you don't like Journey at all?
Can't do it, but player can. The small town boy born and raised in East Detroit. After that, I checked out. Couldn't do her. It's just their songs all sound the same to me. Whether the wheel in the skies keep on turning or whatever it is, it's very, man, did that shit really dominate my childhood to the degree that I couldn't even listen to it anymore.
Oh.
So
that's here's what
So what I listened to was, I started listening to hip hop when I was like 8 or 9 because I could hear it start to being played in and around me. People like Esham, artists like Guilty Simpson, artists like Proof, and I started to hear this stuff, and I wanted to buy some, And my mom was not a big fan of me listening to profane music. She thought that, that music that was swearing was pretty much the devil. And I'm not here to disagree with her, but I tell a funny story, first hip hop album I ever knew front to back, Nappy Roots, Watermelon Chicken and Grits. A weird first album. Second album I owned and listened to back was Snoop Dogg's The Game Is to Be Told, Not to Be Sold, when he signed with No Limit Records. Super weird combo.
Yeah.
And then there's the time I played Eminem's album as loud as I could, and my mom came home from work early.
Oh, no.
Oh, man. I think I had a second album, that Kim track, when he's talking about his mother and his wife and all the things theoretically he would do to them. And my mom she'd come in. I remember hearing the door shut. I didn't hear the door shut, actually. The music was playing out the windows. My mom opened her car door. I didn't hear the door close. And she came straight in and came straight for me with a rolled up magazine ready to whoop my ass.
Dangerous.
Crazy.
Oh, that's so intense.
It was a lot.
Man, okay. And did that deter your interest in hip hop at all? Or were you just like, oh no, was it just, it had captivated your mind too much to stop?
After she explained to me why she didn't want me to listen to the music, I stopped.
Oh, interesting.
I thought that, she's just like, oh, you want to beat up women and talk about how stupid I am, keep it up. She wailed on me pretty good.
Ooh.
I don't think she got any good hits in because I probably blocked them all, but she was on it. Swinging.
It's intense. That's very intense. It's interesting. So, as I posted about, today is my grandma's birthday, and
nice, happy birthday, Grandma.
I know she's awesome. Ma's the best. We call her Ma. Her name's Marty, and she's a grandma, so she's Ma for short.
Sounds wise.
She's dope. So growing up, there was this brief period where we were waiting for we had sold a house and we were waiting for our new house to be built here in Vegas. And so we stayed at my grandma's house. And that is actually my earliest hip hop memory, is when we were staying at her house and she had on her TV the Slim Shady music video, the real Slim Shady music video. And I just think it's so funny, that contrast between your mom being how dare you be listening to this Eminem stuff, and then my grandma literally having Slim Shady on her TV, watching the music video and just chilling. It's so funny to me.
Had I presented her the real Slim Shady, I might have gotten away with it a little more than the music.
That's fair. Yeah.
It was pretty dark, white, trashy. No one's ever heard it before. Degrading, disrespectful music. And
super disrespectful.
She was spot on. Made me think hard about what I was listening to.
Yeah. Even today, it's weird because I'll talk to some white people who are racist. There's no way to put it. And they'll say oh, I don't like hip hop, but I like Eminem. And I'm and they're oh, because everything else is too violent or too intense. And I'm Eminem is one of the most intense, degrading individuals in hip hop. Incredibly violent, just wildin', absolutely wildin'. So I just don't understand it. I can't even listen to the guy. It's too much for me. I'm just upset by the violent descriptions.
I listen to the guy. I chalk it up as part of the art form.
That's
at the
fair.
time though. At the time, being a kid, that music wasn't made for me. That music was made for hip hop fans that were in fact white, that had never been represented in the culture before.
Right.
So when this guy, tells a crack riddled community about how the whites get prescription drugs and hide them under their mattress, people were locked in. They were locked in. They never heard nobody talk oh, that's me. They never heard. They heard smoking crack is not an inherently white thing. It's just not. You know what I'm saying? But prescription drugs are the whitest thing since fucking clouds.
Oh yeah. Oh no, for sure. That hillbilly heroin just destroys people.
That's true too.
Yeah. Yeah, it's crazy.
Kevin, I'm glad you're not on drugs, man.
What?
I'm glad we're not on drugs. Shout out to that.
As you're smoking weed.
Yeah, well, you know me. I could smoke 25 blunts and have a conversation with the president. Well, given the current last two presidents, I'd probably still supersede them in intelligence.
Okay. Something I think is interesting, and we talked about this last week when you and I and Harley were getting together to talk about the new project you're working on. The fact that you're not you not being a conscious rapper, and I think it's interesting because you do have the political acumen to be the most conscious rapper. You know what I'm saying? Like, there are a few rappers in the game who have the background you have in politics to be able to speak to that conscious sort of stuff.
You know, I do. It's just when you're speaking on issues like that, right? We're talking about macro issues that affect everybody.
Right.
And I'm telling you, these things over the last 8 years, they've changed. Conscious hip hop has kind of taken a backseat to mainstream hip hop, but more so, the artists that used to be left out are using conscious rhymes to include themselves. Artists like Tom McDonald, right? And when you see people nonstop give you a head full of things that you don't agree with, I think for me, I kind of looked at all that and I was like, man, I don't want to be that guy.
Right.
And for me in the past, I would still say that I'm more conscious than most artists,
right.
Probably than almost all the artists in this town. But with that said, you know, what you're talking about is on point. And I feel like that this year, the end of this year and next year is when I'll probably return to my form. I think that conscious art requires more visual technology than most arts. And that's because it's not just what you say, it's how does what you say make someone feel? So it's easier when you visually see people saying it to other people that you may agree with or disagree with that look like you, don't look like you. I just think that visuals are important for conscious music.
I've never made that connection before. That visuals are important for conscious music
nowadays.
Okay.
I feel like music sounds so similar that you could be listening to a conscious song, and if they use enough metaphors and similes, you wouldn't even know it.
Okay. I do feel that because I have a couple songs that I wouldn't say are quite like to the communist extent, but they border on it. And I'll have incredibly conservative people listen to the songs and just be like, oh, this song's such a bop. And it'll be like their favorite song. And I'm like, oh, so you weren't like, I'd present it in such a way that you didn't even know I was saying. You know what I'm saying?
That's exactly what I'm talking about.
Yeah. So that makes a lot of sense because the visuals I paired with it were vague enough that people didn't realize what it was.
Yeah. That's exactly what I mean.
I've never thought about it like that, but you're so right. That makes a lot of sense. Do you feel, so we talked about how like growing up in a very like Motown environment really fueled your interest in music and it got you into hip hop at kind of a younger age than some might get into it. Do you feel like your later like studying and getting your PhD in like a civil rights category and doing all of that, do you think that has also informed your rapping art or not as much?
Man, let me touch up on all of this because you asked a really good question, and these answers will surprise everyone. So let me start with this. Of all people that love music, I love music the least.
Oh, really?
Yep. Yes, sir. I barely listen to music now. I barely listen to anything. I make a lot of music. I probably listen to more music than most people, but compared to what I consumed when I was getting the skills to take on this art, I listen to probably 1/20th the music that I did when I was 19 years old. I probably listened to 1/50th of the music I listened to when I was 21 years old. And the reason why I don't listen to as much music as I used to, there's a lot of reasons. But I just don't enjoy it. I feel like there's so many different styles and so many different ways to write raps. And no matter if you're successful or not successful, people talk about you in a negative light. And seeing all of these things, just kind of make me look at all of it and say, what for? You know, even with my own music, I feel that way. If I didn't have an exact reason why I was out here every day building my business, just as such a business, I probably wouldn't continue to do this. Now, while I tell you I don't like listening to music, I love collaborating with others. And I got that from sports and having a background of just knowing, like, I might not be able to beat all 5 of these guys, but I can tell you what, if Kevin goes left and Harley goes right and Shikati goes down the middle, all of a sudden I'm open. And I think that the team dynamics of things are, definitely what got me going. But back to the other initial question too, Detroit didn't get me interested in hip hop. Detroit gave me a need and then mandatory feeling in my body for the rest of my life that I need to decompress. And if you listen to my music closely, anybody that's heard my music before, I have almost no chill. And I got that from living in Detroit. I got that from walking home from school at 6 years old, 7 years old, 8 years old, doing a sprint, stop, hide, sprint, stop, hide, sprint, stop, run. I mean, this is a real life outside of our schools, is full of drug dealers, people that are trying to turn us into drug dealers, a bunch of kids that don't have parents. The kids are terribly behaved. 6 Mile, 7 Mile, Hartwell, Gratiot. I mean, these are fucking rough areas, and they're just not places that people want to raise families. So anytime, you have that, what we call that refraction, right? The opposite side of that beautiful rainbow, you have to find the beauty in it. But more so, you have the journalistic integrity to talk about it, because people don't see it every day. So for me, Detroit's biggest impact was it fucking wound me up with a relentless approach to a mic, and it wound my body up with intense anxiety everywhere I go. I've had it since I was a kid.
So then do you view your music as a type of therapy then to work through those issues that kind of implanted themselves in you?
Music absolutely is only therapy for me. And I think that, yes. So it makes creating easy. I don't ever have to plan anything. I just have to live my life. And there will be a day where I'll just be like, Kev, I can't do it. And I'll go hide away and I'll record 4 songs. And I still work like that.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Huh. It makes everything, like viewing music for you as that makes it all make more sense to me. Because I always thought, like, okay, Larry goes so hard and he's so aggressive with everything he puts out. And I don't feel like I've ever completely understood that until right now. It's like, oh, he needs to get it out. He is letting go of that like early childhood trauma by like just yelling out this mic. Because I feel like in day-to-day life talking to you, you're a very chill individual. And like the music that you like is very chill. So it's interesting how hard you go once you grab that mic.
I like chill music because it calms me down. It helps. Like, I listen to a lot of Jack Jack. I listen to a lot of Chance the Rapper. And then on the flip side, I listen to a lot of Lupe Fiasco. That's the exact opposite of Chance the Rapper. You drop food and liquor and all you hear is glass shattering, sirens blowing, civil rights speaking. And to me, not only did I live in that environment, I actually studied that same stuff about that environment. So the things that I thought as a kid, right? Inequality, redlining of banks, the things that I thought were happening in and around me, when I saw in the reality that those things happen exactly the way all the rap artists that helped raise me were saying, it kind of shocked me because, I think there's a connotation, at least there was in my city and still is when I tell people where I'm from, that Detroit's a dumb city. And I think what they're trying to say to me is that Detroit's a black city. And without being understanding that some people have a better access to education than others, I wear that stereotype. I wear it in my music. I wore it on the basketball court for 6 years. I wear it into meetings and I wear it into my business today.
Just like downloading what you're saying because it's so intense. And I can't imagine like putting that effort and studying it and being like, oh my goodness, everything that the artist was saying is real. Like, I felt that before when I got my economics degree, where I'd look at some of the inequalities going on, and I'd be like, what's going on here? Like, we're just going to accept this? Like when I saw like housing inequality by race, when I first like studied that and did a report on it, I was like, this is insane. And then I'd have family members tell me stuff like, oh, like that's not real. And I'm like, I ran the numbers myself. You know, like I looked at the data and measured the exact amount that it happens. It happens.
Insane.
You know, like, and so like the fact that you're going to try to tell me it's not there, like I'm not relying on someone else's interpretation of the data. I literally ran the statistical analysis myself and watched it play out. And it's just like a wild feeling. So I can't imagine like that being your entire focus for your degree and just seeing it over and over again. And in that, like, it makes sense that that could make its way into the way you rap about what you're rapping about, even more so, because that's such an intense feeling. And so that's going to make you want to go even harder, you know, like it's going to make its way into the emotional output that you have in your rapping and in your art form.
Yeah. And I would say that, you know, that's a big characteristic of my music too, is I'm very shifty and I'm full of energy. Sometimes I have it, sometimes I don't. Through one verse, you'll hear like, I know because my engineers say I'm a nightmare. I know that I load my power and unload my power throughout my verse. And that's just because not only do I feel that way, do I feel like I'm all over the place, but I feel like, you know, that walk home from school is all over the place. You do get across the bridge and everything does go away. It's weird. So for really making me always know that whatever I decided to say was going to be just fine. It didn't matter what it was. We could be playing hopscotch here or there, but it was listening to Nas as a kid talk about walking through Queens that probably paved the way for everything that I do.
Really? Would you say he was probably your biggest inspiration growing up for hip hop and like making you want to do it, or more that he just gave you comfort in that time?
He's my favorite artist.
Okay.
Yeah, I would say that's fair. Him and a few others, you know. First time I heard Q-Tip rap, I thought he was the coolest guy on the planet.
He is cool.
So
he's as cool as you get.
I was like, man, I want to do that.
Yeah.
You know?
Interesting. Okay. Yeah. I'm just like, I'm fascinated by hearing your story. It's so interesting to me. So what were your thoughts coming up? What were your thoughts as you got the track and you were like, okay, I got to figure out how to approach this? Like, what was your way that you got into your writing mode for that?
I think my writing style is more authentic than everyone. I think my whole brand is just being myself to the highest level. So, you know, I went in with the first bars. I talked about, you know, what my weapons are, what my tools are. I lay them out. I have an old school flow from just like back in the day. And I say that because, you know, since the day I started when I was young, people are like, you got old school flow. That's fine. People love old school music. So instead of running from it and trying to correct them, I just owned it. I've owned it in other songs, you know, so I owned it in this song. It was a no-brainer for me. The title, Coming Up, I came up in the Bay Area, California, in a place of 13 million people. I learned my business acumen out there. You know, it's a place where there's lots and lots of musicians that are full-time musicians that are well-paid musicians. And they have never been on a record label. They don't have a record deal. It's an independent hub. It's an anomaly. I'm sure it reminds me of the 1970s of New York when you had all these stars from Frank Lucas to Nicky Barnes. These guys are all legends, and they just owned a little something. So I think ownership in music is something that I learned in the Bay Area. And when you were talking about coming up, all I ever wanted to do was own a space in this music. And I think this is where a lot of our bond and our brotherhood was formed as soon as we met. Is we know what we got, we know what we could do. It's like, how do we get there?
Right.
And, you know, that's why being a part of albums like Flows is an honor. writing songs like that, put my old school touch on that, my reflective, nostalgic feel to the track. I thought it's just what it needed.
Yeah.
I thought too that the track was a good balance for the rest of the album. I feel like our song stands out in a lot of ways.
Yeah, it's the one track where the hook is not sung on the album. I think that helps it stand out in a certain way,
Let me ask you this. Let me interview you quick.
Okay, go for it.
So for flows, are you on all of the hooks in the tracks?
No.
Respect. Can I tell you that it was something that I developed? So for Hunger Games, I'm on every single hook of every song.
On one?
All of them.
On all of them?
There is no song that Another Man is welcome on my hook.
Really?
Yes. And I'll tell you why I did it.
Yeah.
2 reasons. So I have an album called We the People, and it did really well. And I feel like it did well because my algorithm was doing well. But I put all my friends all over the shit. And my time, I was trying to count up the features. I want to see how many I could do. Song had 24 songs, 31 features.
Wild.
And throughout it, as my musical approach, I felt like you couldn't find me in it. Like I knew it was me because I organized that bitch. Like DJ Khaled went out there, did all the work, made the opens. I did. But the reality was, I had 1 minute of vocals on every song. So I wanted to make sure that when we got to Hunger Games, it would be my featured work that for 1, 2, and 3, that I controlled the narrative entirely. And the only way for that is to leave opens for others. And
to take the hooks.
And to take the hooks, or my famous approach, I don't write hooks in my songs at all anymore. I still will, and I have them. But my last couple of hits, Untitled and Hello New World, no hooks in those songs at all.
That's true. That's an interesting approach.
It takes quite an amount of skill in writing, in coherent writing, to keep someone's attention without a hook. It's almost impossible.
It's so hard. I mean, but Untitled is like one of your biggest tracks. So, I mean, it's a testament to your ability to do so.
And it's a testament to the instrumentalists around me. When you can transition a beat and give a different feel to a verse, you don't need a hook. And I feel like you actually have that. You could do that yourself. What I think you could do too, that I just think is amazing. Have you ever heard a track where they just pull the vocals and then they talk to you through the instruments?
Yeah.
And that's because your album has, fuck what you say. Every Kevin Bassett fan knows that your music is some of the sweetest shit I've ever heard. You have a tone of, it's just love. You have love throughout your albums and songs. You can feel it, you can hear it. So I think that, part of it's because you do lay all of your instruments and you do dominate the piano and you can feel it,
Yeah. I do like the parts when I don't have the vocals on and it's just the piano playing. And it's part of the reason a lot of the songs start with just the piano. There's this moment in Flower Garden, and when I was working with Amanda on the song, because it has Amanda and Upgrade, but when I was working with Amanda, she was like, "Oh, why doesn't the chorus repeat again at the end?" And I was like, "Well, because I wanted to show off the piano."
Right.
I wanted it to get back into that piano or help people remember, because they've heard so many things on top of it for so long, that I wanted them to experience it again, because I think it's a really beautiful melody. And she was like, "Oh, okay." And it, like, I wasn't thinking of it consciously, but that is like, I agree that that's so important, is to let the instrumental breathe and let it showcase what it's doing well,
Yep.
That love of the production, finding time for it.
People barely have it anymore, Kev. The arts are getting less refined by the minute.
Yeah. I mean, trying to prevent that is part of it, And I think, it's crazy what you say about like the hook thing. Sorry, my brain's just like going back to that, because there were moments where I don't go back to the chorus at the end of the song, like on Cut the Fabric, the last song I don't. And And even coming up, because coming up it has that like cool like outro of like, you know, chopping up everything. And I felt like nervous doing that. You know, I felt nervous not going back to the hook. And so having the idea of like no hooks throughout, it's a wild thought to me. It would like rewrite my brain if I had to be able to do that, you know?
You know why I do it? I guess at a core level, on every album I've ever listened to since I was a kid, my favorite song is the intro. And rarely does it have a hook. I'll just write 5 intros and you got track 1 through 5 for over 100.
I love that. I love the idea. You're just like, well, I like the intros, so why not just make all the songs the intro? Just keep introducing myself.
Right.
You know what? I actually feel that though, because like thinking of The Throne with you and Shakati, that song feels like an introduction. It feels like Shakati is introducing everyone to you.
He does.
And I love that aspect of it. That is like one of my favorite parts of that song is that Larry Coleman take over the throne. And then you come in with the I would live the king, die a king. I'll probably die a king. Yeah, I don't remember all the words, but like that moment when it transitions to you is so good. And it's so epic. And it feels like it's such a good like song to like bring in the energy, you know?
Yeah, I like that song.
Yeah, there's such a nice transition. So, okay, so you've got the tour coming up super soon. This will probably come out either while you're touring or right after you're touring, just by release schedule of the podcast. So going into the tour, what are your thoughts about it? Are you nervous about it? Are you excited? I know it's a lot to put together.
Man, I feel a lot of different ways. So, you know, every time things get tough or difficult, I remind myself that I made a choice and then it's an honor and privilege to get in these situations. It is an honor and a privilege to be able to tour. It is a privilege to be able to play at some of these beautiful venues that other people have poured their life's work into. You know, it's an honor to share the stage with your friends. So, you know, the weirdest thing about organizing the whole tour and the best thing about organizing the whole tour is that I had to do everything very professionally. You know what I'm saying? Like these venues that we're in, they're the best venues in the cities that we're going to. It's not like and I say that respectively, no disrespect to people hustling, people playing in restaurants, people playing in tiny bars in front of 50-person crowds. To be able to step out into my first tour since 2019 and to be playing 500 feet from the Pacific Beach, North Beach in San Diego is insane. To be playing with my friends at House of Blues to headline it is nuts. Yeah. To be back in the Bay Area in preferred venues in San Francisco and San Jose and have your friends all tell you on a Wednesday and Thursday they can't wait. To have 20 artists in those cities from all different sorts of backgrounds tell me it's an honor to open up for me is an education that, you know, I'm a person that I don't focus on what others think of me. I focus on making music.
Right.
So having these experiences, you know, booking up, you know, 7 outstanding artists in Reno, Nevada. I don't know what most people's musical challenges in a week, if it's writing the bridge or a third verse, but you know, I'm in some new territory as far as what I'm trying to accomplish here. You know, driving ticket sales and figuring out how to market to these areas. Figuring out how to organize lineups, figuring out how the foot traffic rolls through these prospective neighborhoods. It's been a logistical privilege to be able to figure all of these things out. And then more so to have it kind of showed me, like I said, when we focus on making the music, right? When I had probably 50 people tell me that what I'm doing is important and that they would contribute in any way possible to help me make these things possible, it changed everything. It made me look at it made me look at the world as bright instead of gloomy. You know, for this tour particularly, me and my friends are leaving with $10,000 is what we raised for this tour.
Nice.
And I say that because that's an honor for people to respect you and believe in your work ethic and your business acumen that much, it's a privilege. So then you start thinking of, well, how do I make sure I deliver on all aspects for all of these people?
Right.
Because now they're putting their hard earned money down to have these experiences that others won't.
Right.
But they're starting to understand that it is a business, and educating this community on the business side is it means a lot to me, because I come from the Bay Area. I know cats that are rich with 30,000 monthly listeners, and it's because they run a business. They understand movie placements. They understand, how to get their music monetized from an early age of the track, how to stand on that track for a long time, how to push it to local DJs, how to push it to local radio stations. Everything that, a lot of these independent artists are learning, or they understand that all politics are local. Everybody else are willing to swap out their integrity of their music for a fake number, for a stream count to represent them internationally, when no one even cares about them in the city that they live in.
Right.
So teaching kids the business, I think, not only will help them grow their monetary value and the communities around it, whether you're a bartender working an event or a venue owner looking for an event fee, you can only get those event fees if people understand that they need to pay them. So what the biggest contribution, I feel like I've made to this community, I feel like the tour is the next step out. I feel like, as far as artists outside of my genre, they realize that I am no joke as far as what I plan to accomplish and what I think we can do as a team in a city. And I think that above all else, the reason why I'm sitting in this position saying all this is because I am the guy that does believe in everybody. I am the guy that if you can't get 20 points like you promised me, get 16 and I will score 4 extra. And I still take that team approach that we talked about earlier to every single thing that I do. Yeah. Like, I know I can't, you know what I mean? I know I can't go sell 300 tickets in one day, but I know if 5 people help me and they listen to what I say, that we can come pretty close. So things like that, man. I'm just looking forward to getting out there. I'm looking forward to the Las Vegas show. We've got some insane talent on it, just insane. I'm looking forward to creating more touring artists in the city. I think it's a good thing.
I agree. Yeah, it's intense, and it's a lot of work, and it must feel so rewarding as you're seeing those efforts paying off, even in like small ways.
They're the smallest, Kevin. Can I tell every independent artist that watches this interview something? Your gains in this game and industry are so minuscule, and your wins are never packaged with a bow and wrapping paper.
Mm-hmm.
The respect you get in this is when, like, a Kevin will be like, Larry, I need you to do this, and I pull up in 10 minutes. Right? There's no monetary value in the world that can explain to people what you did to make that possible.
Right. That small development of a friendship and of a creative respect helps make that type of thing happen.
It does, but think of all the things that go into that. We work our asses off.
Absolutely.
Like, we're both dropping albums in April, combined 28 songs. We put on the entire community and didn't have to.
Right.
Chose to.
Right.
Always choose to.
Yeah. Well, and I think it's cool to like, and you get it, because you're one as well, but like being a participant in the Vegas community, like the Vegas music community, is so rewarding. And it just gives you this feeling of like, I want everyone to know about this. Like, I feel like it's almost like a secret that we have. And I'm like, everyone deserves to know how great all these artists are. Like, I want every single one to be like famous and to be super successful.
I think that, that'd be a good look for us.
Yeah. And it almost like drives you, you know what I'm saying? Like, I want everyone to sound awesome on their tracks because they're great. Yeah. There's so much talent.
You already know I got a whole gang of these boys I've been staring at for 2 years. I'm curious to see what they do. They all sound pretty good. They're all gotten a lot better But I don't think that they don't know it. They really don't, because, you know, if you're not getting booked for shows left and right, and there's not a lot of hip hop shows in the city, you know, it can create a lonely avenue for creating music. I think that's where these teams become even more important.
Yeah. Yeah. It's cool to see the team that you've kind of established for yourself here, and to see the way that they all support each other and come together for each other, and the way that you come together for them. It's really, it's awesome. And it inspires me to want to be more collaborative, and to want to reach out to more people, and to create those types of bonds. Cause I see you doing it, and I'm like, it's so cool. I just love it so much.
You're one of the only people that can, and you do that already. You started a K-pop group, for shit's sake.
Yeah, I just had a meeting with them today.
You know, so I mean, you do it different than everybody else. You know.
Yeah, you just got to press on it. So okay, so you got the tour, you got Hunger Games 3. Is Hunger Games 3 out everywhere, or is it only SoundCloud, or what's the deal with that right now?
Hunger Games 3 will be distributed. It's on SoundCloud, most of it. There's a couple unreleased tracks. There's it'll be released on vinyl throughout the tour, limited edition run, and then we'll give them a week to listen to it first.
Nice.
And I'm going to release it at the end of April. Nice. Most of the songs are available on Spotify. The singles are already up. They're doing excellent.
Right.
Yeah, they're doing really well on Apple Music as usual. It's up on SoundCloud. New video. I got a couple new videos out on YouTube. I put them up the last couple of days. Just a little something slight for people that are looking for my sound.
Yeah. Okay, great. So that's coming out soon, and that's super exciting. I think it's a very good album, and I think it could have a good chance of boosting things to another level. And I know you're always writing, you're always working on stuff. So is the next project going to be a Hunger Games 4, or are you going with a different name now? Are you like starting something different?
So, as a lot of people can recall, Hunger Games 1 was the red album, then Hunger Games 2 was the blue album. You know, Hunger Games 3, it was the green album, as you can see right here.
Right.
Hunger Games 4, man, it's coming. It's
okay.
Done. It's quite an album. It's got some iconic features on there. Speaking of Jay Dilla, I got Slum Village back for Lyrical Magi. That'll be the first single off the album. For the people that are wondering, it'll be Larry Coleman 2020, T3, Slum Village, Lyrical Magi. That will come out probably in June when when we organize the second leg of Hunger Games 3 tour, which will be headed back to my home state of Michigan.
Awesome.
And headed back to its neighboring states of Wisconsin and Minnesota as well. So,
just the fact that you work with Slum Village is so crazy. It's so cool, and like the personal connection you have with them that's just so dope.
It's crazy to me because I have worked with quite a few famous people, like probably around 30 total, including producers. But Slum Village are the ones I listened to every day as a kid.
Yeah.
So it still freaks me out. And I get that they're not. I've worked with people that are more famous, but to me, they are not more famous than the albums you listen to, growing up.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's how I feel too. Like, I tell some people sometimes, I'm like, yeah, if Utada Hikaru, was a diva to me, I would just accept it. Where most people, I don't put up with diva behavior. And it's funny because I say that and people are like, who's Utada Hikaru? And I'm like, she's the best. Like, what are you talking about? But it's partially because, I grew up listening to her and like, she like got implanted in my head. So to me, she's the best, even though like in the United States, there's more of just like this smaller cult following behind her. And so I totally get what you're saying, where it's like, if you listen to them growing up, it's different.
It is different.
It's a wild feeling. And Slum Village, I mean, that's one of the most iconic artists, with Jay Dilla coming through Slum Village to ever, like, at least the last 20 years, probably one of the most important artists.
They ranked Slum Village as a hip hop duo number 30 in history of hip hop.
I'm not surprised.
Me either. I thought it was a little low, but it's still an honor that they're on the list.
Who'd they have above them? Like Outkast, I'm guessing.
Oh my God, there's a lot of them. Like Pharrell and Neptune's, the clips.
Okay, that makes sense.
Clips went like 8 times platinum twice.
Yeah.
When you start to think about it, there's a lot. Eric B and Rakim, ridiculous, just one of a kind. But I think it might have been duos of all. I'm not sure. I forget, but it was cool.
Yeah. I think they deserve to be up there. They're great. Slum Village is awesome. Okay, great. I'm super excited for Hunger Games 4. I'm sure it's going to be amazing because Hunger Games 3 has been great. So have I listened to all of Hunger Games 3 or is there some tracks I haven't heard yet?
When the album actually is released on digital platforms, I'll be releasing the things that I go through with Locksmith as well.
Oh, okay. And I've heard that, but most people have not heard that.
I wanted to hold back on it just a little bit because the song that I just released is doing so well. And we have a lot of targeted people that we'd like to get that track to before we move on to focus on the next one. As an independent artist, I fight one track at a time.
That makes sense. Yeah. I wish I had better control of my fight and had more patience for the business side. And again, you're an example to me in being able to do that. Anyway, it's been great talking to you. I appreciate all that you do and the example you set and the hard work you put into your art and the way it communicates with people is just awesome.
Thanks, man. Feeling is mutual, my friend. You made a great album. You should be very, very proud of it. And not a lot of people can do that. So
I appreciate it. I'm glad you enjoyed it. It's been awesome talking to you. To me, this is like the reward of release day is just getting to hang out and talk with you. Like, what else do you need?
Nothing.
Yeah, it's awesome. Okay, cool. Well, I'll let you get to the rest of your day and doing your thing.
All right, brother.
Okay, good talking.
Need anything from me, let me know.
Absolutely. Same, man. See ya.
Thanks again for listening today. We've got one more episode on the Flows series coming soon. Until then, listen to Kevin's album on Spotify or Apple Music. Be sure to share this podcast with your friends.